Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Open Mic Night live at the ZoomBarDC. We've got a great show for you tonight. We've got Jeremy Schuhmann and Joseph Stegner and Art Levine and more. And Jeremy Schumann's going to kick us off. So take it away, Jeremy.
Okay. I think I'm going to try and do this. I've always been a Willie Nelson fan, and during the pandemic, I've been participating in a bunch of open mics, and I don't think I did this one in this open mic, but if I did before, no big deal, right? So, anyway, Willie wrote this song that has kind of turned into, it's almost a jazz standard. It says in my notes here that it was co-written by a guy named Paul Buzzkirk, who I think they both played in Ray Price's band. Paul Buzzkirk was a guitarist and mandolinist, and he was very schooled in chords and jazz, and this song I think had a lot of his influence because this is really, it's almost like a textbook of example of it's a bluesy song. It's not really a blues song. I mean, there's blues means more than one thing. Okay, blues can mean the subject matter of the song, or blues can mean the form of the song. This is called it's called Nightlife, so it's got a bluesy kind of a subject, but the form of the song is more like a jazz song. It's more like a 16 bar, 32 bar AABA or something like that. That's more than anybody wanted to know. Anyway, we'll see if I can call it Nightlife. I'm going to turn that up a little bit. Hold on. Wait. Okay, we're going crazy here. Here we go again. When that evening the sun goes down, you're gonna find me hanging round, 'cause the nightlife ain't no good life, but it's my life. Many people just like me, dreaming of old used to be, and that old nightlife ain't no good life, but it's my life. Listen to the blues they're playing. Listen to the blues, what the blues are saying. Mine is just another scene from a world of broken dreams, and that old nightlife ain't no good life, but it's my life. blues they're playing. Listen to what the blues are saying. Mine is just another scene from a world of broken dreams. And that old nightlight ain't no good lie, but it's my life. Yes, that old nightlight ain't no good lie, but it's my life.
Woo! Hey, Jeremy! That was awesome. I don't know if you've played that or not on the open mic. I love it. It's great. What a great song.
Isn't it amazing how versatile Willie Nelson is?
Yes. He's just a musician, really. He's not. He's kind of old school. Let's see. Okay, here's my contribution to 32-bar AABA form songs. And I've done this one before, but I'm going to do it again. So this one's called "There's Got to Be a Rainbow Somewhere." Stormy sky, rain coming down in sheets, wind howling through the trees. Seems like it's rained for weeks, but I see a patch of blue, and that sun comes smiling through, and I know that there's gotta be a rainbow somewhere. Bitter tears, words better left unsaid, slamming doors, screeching tires, all the restless night in a half-empty bed. But then comes the dawn, and you wake to that robin song, and you know that there's gotta be a rainbow somewhere. Gray days drifting by leave you wondering why you should even stick around for the end. But still you hang on, 'cause the feeling is strong that there's bound to be a brighter day waiting just around the bend. Rising floods, starvation and disease, wars breaking out, there's no end to life's miseries. So far, every day, that old sun rises up to say that there's just gotta be a rainbow somewhere. Gray days drifting by leave you wondering why you should even stick around for the end. But still you hang on, 'cause the feeling is strong that there's bound to be a pot of gold waiting just around the bend. Stormy skies, rain coming down in sheets, wind howling through the trees. You know, it seems like it's rained for weeks, but I see a patch of blue. Then that sun comes smiling through, and there's gotta be a rainbow. There just must be a rainbow. I know that there's got to be a rainbow somewhere.
Woo! Hey,
Thank you.
Jeremy. Well, that's such a beautiful song. When did you write that?
It says here 2016. 2016, so it's not a decade old yet, but you know, whatever.
It's a classic.
Thank you.
It's a classic as written. It's kind of like listening to the first Gillian Welch album. You go, what are those great classics from 25 years ago? No, she just wrote the last 3 years. It really, you know, it's so great. And you followed it with that Willie Nelson song. That's something that Willie could have easily have written, been proud of, and had been covered many times. It's really a fantastic song.
Thank you very much,
Yeah,
Art. I
Art, we
appreciate
have
it.
a version of that on the ZoomBarDC hit list, on the gold hit list.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Yep, that's an original. So I mean, we can't put everything on the hit list because, you know,
Right.
copyright and stuff. But yeah,
Right.
Thank you.
and appreciate it. You're doing that, Joe. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, no, you deserve to be heard. It's the saddest thing to, you know, to the audience, to musicians, that so radio worthy, but yet nobody knows who they are. I don't know how to make that happen other than do what I can to share it.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Joseph.
music is even more ethereal than poetry, I think. I mean, because it's, you know, it's a live performance and then it's gone. You know, so to a certain extent. You know.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Thank you. So, Joseph, you ready to go next?
I do. I'm ready. I've got my newest collection of poetry published this morning. You can read it there. But again, another few days of writing my favorite cafe. Had an awesome experience.
Can you hold it up again?
Yeah. Oh. Says, with this gift of life, the tale of Stegosaurus, referring to my poetry being like the tale of Stegosaurus with spikes, you know, 4 stanzas like 4 spikes, or 4 lines like 4 spikes. Nemesis to the nefarious.
Very nice. Very nice.
What was really nice and really cool, Sunday morning, I got a call a few days earlier from a former police officer here in town who's also a movie producer. And he's got this podcast called K-Shed Uncuffed. And he wanted to get together with me and do an episode on mental health. So we did it on Sunday. And I can't wait to see the final product. We talked for 2 hours. The chemistry was fantastic. And you just got to do some editing and cut down some of the background noise. And can't wait. It's going to be so cool. And he, after reviewing it, he said we should team up and just do it on a regular basis because we make a good team. So this one's called With This Gift of Life. With this gift of life, O Lord, by which we pulse and breathe, to be so tiny to the earth, yet with senses to receive, to hear and feel and see and smell and taste all the flavors there are, even though we are so insignificant, one small planet around one small star. Yet, just as our own heartbeats spark to keep the elements to our form, forming and sustaining the systems which contribute to keeping us warm, or even cool when we need to be, with flexibility to the flow, as we have a range of variables in which we adapt and grow. To be part of such an organism interwoven on this earth, I burst with a sense of gratitude to have ever been given birth. I acknowledge the spectrum of experience that humans each endures, from daily fear of the lion to where the only known cat softly purrs. Some don't know the feeling of a sanctuary to rest, when they are in their home where tranquility should be its best. The chemistry of character that can be volatile, toxic, and ill sometimes happens on the home front where some can't escape another's will. Things that are done, expected, or spoken to some give strength, to others make broken. Some know love and encouragement with foresight, instruction, and hope, while others hear constant bickering until despair knots the noose of a rope. Be kind to others who might not see, who need your example for a chance to be free. Again, be kind to others who might not see, who need your example for a chance to be free, who may not know an alternative way to respond to what others might do or say. We only know what we're taught or what we learn as we go, so it may very well be you are that light whose example is meant to glow. Do not be perplexed by any surprise when people respond to what's new to their eyes. This is key to looking forward and keeping awareness on track instead of slipping or tripping on the raceway because we turn too much looking back. What best defines the light is its contrast to the dark. Like silence can be broken by the singing of a lark. This glorious gift of life is as sure as we exist. Don't let all its color and beauty be what your lack of attention missed. Make it brilliant. And I wrote that on the 21st.
Yay!
All right.
That was
That's
beautiful. Wow.
Very
Hey,
good.
Joseph.
All right, one more for now. Let's see. This one didn't name it, but it is what it is. Let's see if you can tell who I'm talking about. Donnie Decay had an arrogant way, always a lodestone thing to say. Donnie Decay pulling prey to the grave, knowing exactly what his toxic words weigh. On behalf of this country I hitchhiked, which nurtured me shore to shore, which has made me love sweet life enough to rebuke the trumpet of war. I have seen too much across this land, experienced with my own eyes, to not be a warrior poet when civil wars are started with lies. And falsehood is the flatulence now blowing in the wind by those who live in excess and want the population to thin. Enter Stegosaurus for the conflict in the meadow, where the rhyming spikes of my tail swing toward the predator fellow. In defense of whom I love, whom their appetites would swallow, if my action had no ink and was more like a pen that was hollow. But it ain't. All right, that's another one.
Yeah.
Hey, Joseph. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next.
Next. Art, do you want to go next or do you want to wait? I think Art's having dinner and then he'll do something later. Jeremy, can you do a couple more songs now and maybe some more later too?
Let's see.
I would like to participate, but just give me a few more moments, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Art.
I'll do this one, which I'm pretty sure I did before. Hold on a second.
We love all your songs, Jeremy.
Okay, this is a Dave Carter song. Let's see. On a sleepy, endless ocean, when the world was in a dream, there was rhythm in the crashing roll, but not a voice to sing. And the moon fell on the breakers, and the morning warmed the waves. till a single cell did jump and hum in joy, as though to say, this is my home, this is my only home, this is the only sacred ground that I have ever known. And should I stray in the dark night alone, rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. Then the sun grew bright and rounder, and the one turned into two, and two into 10,000 things, and old things into new, till on some virgin beachhead one lonesome critter crawled, and he looked about and he shouted out in his most astonished drawl, this is my home, this is my only home, this is the only sacred ground that I have ever known. And should I stray in the bright night alone, rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. Now there's smoke across the harbor, and there's factories on the shore, and the world is ill with greed and will and enterprise of war. But I will lay my burden in the cradle of your grace, on the shining beaches of your love, on the sea of your embrace. You are my home, you are my only home, you are the only sacred ground that I have ever known. And should I stray in the dark night alone, rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden. Rock me, goddess, in the gentle arms of Eden.
That was great. That's a David Carter.
That's
David Carter.
another Dave Carter song, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for introducing us to him.
Wow, that was gorgeous. That's so beautiful. Thank you.
So, Art, are you ready to go, or do you want me to do another one?
Yeah, no, I can go.
Okay.
So this it requires a bit of an intro, and hope I don't. Okay, so I'm basically working from my phone. So basically, basically this is sort of in tribute to a great blues musician who's in town named Robert Whitehouse, who's come back. He's lives part-time in Sweden and part-time in DC, and he has a very loyal following, particularly from incredibly devoted blues fans in the area, like Tom Ryan and Zenaida Odom, and Wayne Kahn, who created a record label, and Elliot Gross, who runs a blues show in PFW. So he had toured in Ukraine recently, like just a month ago, and he played blues and jazz clubs while the bombs are going off and there's sirens, and people still showed up, and he had colorful tales that he's turned into song. He's playing this Wednesday at 8 p.m. at Hank Deedle's, but his description of playing in wartime reminded me a bit of what the situation was like for African Americans in New Orleans after Katrina. And I wrote an article that I'll read some excerpts from, that ran in Mother Jones and was Mother Jones blog, and was cross-posted to Huffington Post. Okay, and in it I also talk about the mood of people who had come back, African American musicians coming back to New Orleans after Katrina to play. So let me read just some excerpts from it. And it's something that shows the strength and power of the music. So, one of the points that I made is outside of the few tourist sites, parts of the city were like a ghost town, having lost more than 60% of its population, mostly African Americans, from 455,000 to about 150,000 people. Even in the once bustling Jackson Square section of the French Quarter, where brass bands, solo musicians, and street vendors once plied their trade, and where George Bush promised to do what it takes to restore New Orleans, the place was nearly empty. Hotels and restaurants, the backbone of the city's essential tourism industry, were severely understaffed, tried scrambling to find workers because of the shortage of employees. And Make Levees, not war, was a slogan featured on T-shirts and buttons at Jazz Fest, but was a viewpoint that hadn't any impact on government policies and the city's fortune. So I talk about the sort of ghoulish sense of what it was like there. Then I transitioned to describing the musical revival in the places outside of Jazz Fest. So, but once, in other words, once you were on the grounds, you could see that it was still a troubled place despite the joy of the music. And then, but then the section that I reminded me of Robert most often was a place nearby called Bullets, and the transition to it is the natural resource that is the music of New Orleans is not an endlessly renewable one without the people who made it possible. Yet if there was a reason for hope, it was going to be found in a place like Bullets, a cramped neighborhood sports bar serving the remaining Black community in the Gentilly neighborhood near the fairgrounds. During the first week after Katrina hit, the Bullet family kept the bar open, cooking food from a freezer with a grill and giving it away to survivors while sheltering elderly neighbors in an upstairs apartment. On the night Jazz Fest ended, the bar was thick with emotion and memories as the mostly middle-aged Black residents packed inside for a homecoming and celebratory jam session featuring some musicians now living on the West Coast, like saxman Kirk Ford and Reggie Houston, joined by Irma Thomas's lead trumpet player. This was the real New Orleans, the jazz soaring and blending for the mostly hometown crowd. And after one particularly hot solo, Ford leaned forward, resplendent in a white suit and fedora, and crowed into the microphone, "New Orleans, we're back." By the time the tall, bald-headed showman, Reggie Houston, led the band, marching down the aisle with the soprano sax to the boisterous melody of Darktown Strutter's Ball, the club, now rocking with something beyond happiness, had been transformed into a magical haven where, for now, no storm could touch them. Ever since Katrina, this bar had become, more than ever, their new home and the cornerstone of the community they hoped to rebuild, especially if the rest of the country does its part to help. As the bar's owner, Roland Little Bullet Garcia Jr., a short, self-effacing man, once told a local reporter, "Everybody is a shoulder to lean on, and once we get enough shoulders, we form a wall, and no floodwater can breach that wall." Let's hope that he's right, and despite the long odds, that the spirit found that night in bullets can somehow be used to help New Orleans return to greatness. So,
Hey, Art, thank you. What a great article.
right. So I'll post it. I'll send it on to you along with some clips of Robert Lighthouse and why I was reminded of Robert in wartime and the kind of wartime setting there. And the spirit that was in that club that evening is something we all need right now as well.
Thank you,
True.
Art. Yeah, that was great. Thanks.
Thanks, Art. That was really great. I'm glad you shared that with us. And so is Robert Lighthouse performing with a group or by himself?
He's probably performing with a group, but he plays a mix of electrified national. He's mostly by himself, so he plays solo acoustic, but also he does have electrified national for his slide work as well.
Yeah, I remember when he used to play the harp and fiddle in Bethesda. I went to see him a few times. He has like a bullet. He used to have like a bullet microphone, like a standard, the kind that you usually hold and play.
Oh yeah, he
And he had that
really.
mounted on his harmonica holder. I remember.
Oh
And
he hasn't really well developed. So now
Yeah.
it's very firm. So he started as a one-man band, and I forgot to say the reason a lot of people first saw him was he used to play right above the DuPont Circle metro stop. And one day in the 90s, I was walking by, and I heard this unbelievable version of Muddy Waters, I Can't Be Satisfied. And I just like whipped around. I had not heard that live with that level of power. And here he was, this lanky Swedish guy playing. And I went, holy mackerel. I stood there transfixed. And all these years later, I'm still following him. So I'll repost where he's playing. So
Okay, great.
Thanks. I know Joseph wants to read something, and I know Jeremy's going to play a few more songs too. Who wants to go next, Joseph or Jeremy?
I can go. Keep it mixed up.
Okay.
All right. It's called Landscape of Thought from the same little periodical of Johnny Appleseed of poetry. In the landscape of thought, there are infinite choices where the senses can engage. Some make our words have small value, while others drip the love of a sage. Some make us heavy with sorrow and strangle our sense of hope, leaving our confidence and ambition dangling on a rope. One of the apostles of the Christian religion said all things are lawful, but not all things help us grow. Though he may have used other words, truth seeks new descriptions to show. Wisdom must stay living, else it becomes an ancient map where no one understands the symbols that reveal where the treasure is at. Conversely, some force the old way said, echoing the message of generations long dead, despising all announcement of things not understood. If it doesn't fit the template, it is rendered as not good. Not realizing such as blasphemy to say that voice is not alive, unable to adapt like the vehicles we drive. It is easier to feign a grace and place oneself on top if the fabrication is enforced by making illumination stop. Again, I digress to a tangent toward those who want to lead without providing proper nutrition to the masses whom they feed. Back to the thoughts of ordinary folk who choose unhealthy thoughts to eat, which do not allow them to fly, ultimately leading to defeat. At any given instant, there are infinite things to think. Some will tempt as if essential, yet act as kryptonite in a drink, removing all ability to do as one otherwise would, because they've been paralyzed from trying, believing the falsehood fed them is good. Oh, the eternal struggle to find the strength to forge ahead in a direction that is vital, when forces would halt all effort or change trail makers instead. This is why love is required if we are to hear that voice, loud enough to have the trust to let its instruction be our choice. Otherwise, we are as lost as a pilot in magnetic fog, unable to tell which controls our fine motor skills ought to toggle. Without love in our behavior, the world then has no chance to see how love can be a fortress to safely guide through calamity. Once again, I'll finish that last one. Without love in our behavior, the world has no chance to see how love can be a fortress to safely guide through calamity. I wrote that one. Oh, actually, I wrote that one on the 24th. I wrote that one 2 days ago. Okay.
Yay, Joseph! That was
Oh, yesterday.
beautiful.
I wrote that yesterday. Thank you.
Yay! Yeah, that was wow. Johnny Appleseed strikes again. Thank you. Okay, Jeremy, you're up next.
Okay. Here's a funny one. It's they used to write country songs. They probably still do. That are inspired by TV advertisements, so this is a song that was recorded by Dean Martin. You know who Dean Martin is, right? Everybody loves somebody sometime. One of the Rat Pack or whatever, and also by Merle Haggard. So I think it's probably the only song that was ever recorded by, maybe, I don't know, who knows? There's probably something else, but what they had in common was they both liked to drink wine, I think. So this is and it was based. This song was based on a Swiss colony wine advertising campaign that featured a little guy with glasses that came in at the end of each advertisement and said, "That little old winemaker me." I don't know. So that's the name of this song. Now if I can figure out which backup. I think I have a backup for this one. Let's see. Might be the... Try this. I'm not sure if this is the right one. I think this is it. Okay. Here we go. Little old winemaker me. I'm praying for rain in California, so the grapes will grow and they can make more wine. And I'm sitting in a honky in Chicago with a broken heart and a woman on my mind. I match the man behind the bar for the jukebox, and the music takes me back to Tennessee. And they ask, who's the fool in the corner crying? I say, little old wine drinker me. Came here last week from down in Nashville, 'cause my baby left for Florida on the train. I thought I'd get a job and just forget her. But in Chicago, a broken heart still feels the same. I matched the man behind the bar for the jukebox, and the music takes me back to Tennessee. And they ask, who's the fool in the corner crying? I say, little old wine drinker me. Yes, I say, little old wine drinker me.
Woo!
That was great. I know you said, who wrote that again?
It was written by some Nashville types, Tommy Garrett, Dick Jennings, and Hank Mills. It was
Oh,
a song that was recorded by Dean Martin and who else did I say? I said
Merle Haggard.
Merle Haggard, right? Merle
well,
Haggard.
it's remarkable that it was recorded by Dean Martin.
Yeah, it was actually a hit by Dean Martin. Yeah, I probably didn't sound quite as country, but you know.
And there's a great book on him called Dino by Nick Tashi. It's called Living High in the Dirty Business of Dreams. It's a phenomenal biography of Dean Martin.
Yeah, he was much loved, but I think people identified with him because he wasn't perfect, you know.
Right, right.
You want to do another one?
I could do one more. I'll try. So this one might mean something to Art. When I was in my 20s, mostly in my 20s, I guess I was following around Danny Gatton. And for those of you who have never heard of him, he was a local guitar player, electric guitar player, and he was so good that he got the notice of people, even though he hardly left town. I mean, he was Roger Miller's in Roger Miller's road band, and he played with Robert Gordon, who some of you might know, who was a rockabilly guy in New York City. But other than that, he pretty much stayed in D.C. And at one point, he was on the cover of Guitar Player magazine with the caption, "The world's greatest guitar player that no one knows," or something like that. Anyway, he ended his own life. I think he was 49 years old back in 1994 or something like that. And it touched me a lot. So I wrote a song about him. Zoom. Here we go. I remember the first time that I heard Danny backing up Liz Meyer along with Billy and Big Dave. I heard Foggy Mountain banjo crying steel and wailing fiddle. But when I looked, I saw no banjo, steel, or fiddle on the stage. Just a short and stocky man with an old telly glued to his belly like he'd been born that way. He just stood there like a rock and let his fingers do the talking. Seemed like nothing crossed his mind, his stubby fingers couldn't play. Danny boy, you could play that Telecaster, play it cleaner, play it faster than any man who's ever walked upon this world. Danny boy, why'd you have to leave so early? You Couldn't wait to reach those pearly gates so you could pick with Lenny, Roy, and Merle. By word of mouth, his fame spread all across this country. Pickers came from everywhere to hear him lead the band. They sat and watched in wonder as the notes rolled out like thunder, trying to understand how all that sound could come from those two hands. 'Cause every set he played was like a lesson. The history of hot guitar played back at double time. He blew jazz like Charlie C. and rocked the house with Johnny B. Then his orange blossom special blew their chicken picking mind. Oh, Danny boy, you could play that Telecaster. Heaven knows, master, with a gift too rich for this whole world to hold. Danny boy, you've gone on to higher places. Listen hard, you'll hear the trace of stubby fingers picking songs of solid gold. Okay.
Woo! Hey, Jeremy. That was awesome.
I think
That
that
was
was
Thank
it for tonight.
That was magnificent. And by the way, I put in chat, there's a documentary that came out about him called Anacostia Delta. It came out in 2020 about Danny Gatton.
Yeah.
Thanks, Art.
I've seen that. I think it's kind of about Danny and Roy.
And Roy both. It's kind of,
So it's not really about Danny. I don't feel like it's a very good representation, but whatever.
oh, okay. I hadn't seen it. So
Uh-huh.
I just thought it was interesting. And both of them were the most accomplished guitar players out of DC, and they both ended up dying by suicide. Is that correct? Or one was an overdose, or it's both tragic, but they were phenomenal.
Yeah, I think I don't remember what the Roy might have died in jail or something. I don't know. I don't remember how he died, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it
Thanks
was
for
kind of
the,
tragic.
it was a fantastic song.
Yeah, he used to play down at the Child Herald. I don't know if you ever went down there with Liz Meyer. That's what I was talking about in the song. Remember the Child Herald at
Oh,
DuPont
absolutely.
Circle?
I had some of the greatest musical experiences. I have a story to tell about it, but
So did you see Liz Meyer and friends down there when he was playing, backing her up?
no, I saw him at other locations.
You saw him
But-
at the Psychedelic, maybe, or
Yeah, definitely saw him. And I traveled to Bladensburg to see Roy. He played at the Crossroads.
right? Yeah. Anyway, that's all for me, I think. Thank you very much.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Jeremy. Well, that's our show, folks. So thanks, everybody, for another great Open Mic Night live at the ZoomBarDC, and see you next week.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
everyone for listening in. Wendell,
Thank-
Marcia, Judy. Appreciate
Take
that.
care, everyone.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night.
Take care. Thanks, Jeremy. Thanks, Joseph. Thanks, Art.
Take care. Thanks.
Thanks.
Sorry I was late.
No worries.
And then it didn't, my computer didn't